mass of citizens watching, waiting intently up there. All right, I'm gonna call to order the City of Sherwood Planning Commission meeting for July 25th, 2023. Roll call
Chair Simpson,
here.
Vice Chair Whitehall,
Present.
Commissioner Montalvo,
City of Sherwood Planning Commission meeting for July 25th, 2023. Roll call.
You sound good, but that's what you sound like. It sounds good.
All right.
Commissioner Montalvo.
Here.
Commissioner Capco.
Here.
Commissioner Barnes,
Here.
Commissioner Beans,
Here.
and looks like Commissioner Kai is absent.
Thank you very much. Our first agenda item is the consent agenda for June 27th, 2023, our regular meeting minutes. For the minutes, before we take a motion, I turned in 3 Scrivener errors to Erica prior to the meeting.
Thank you.
So I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we accept the consent agenda with Scrivener error edits. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Council liaison announcement, Councilor Stampke. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Chair Simpson and Planning Commission members. Last council meeting, we approved the Sherwood West concept plan, and we will be moving forward with the next steps of that now. It passed unanimously, and I want to thank you for your hard work with that. The other thing that came up during our council meeting last week was the work sessions for the food cart. We are going to send that to you to get some guidance. The main focus was design standards for the street facing components for this food cart area, to cover colors as well as signage for the street facing food carts, just so that it looks appealing to our Sherwood standards. And that is all I have for you guys this evening.
Thank you very much. Staff announcements. Erica?
Yes, thanks. Good evening. I have a couple announcements. Last Tuesday, the City Council accepted the Sherwood West concept plan. So thank all of you again for all of your hard work that you put into that plan. Our next meeting will be August 8th, and we have 2 topics for that work session, and it will start at 6:15. Our first topic is we'll be giving an update. We'll be having a discussion on the climate friendly equitable communities rules and work that the city will be doing over the next year. And then, as Councilor Stampke stated, the City Council has directed planning staff to move forward with food cart regulations for Sherwood. And so we have a draft development code that has already been reviewed by the City Council during a couple work sessions, and we're going to now to pass that off to Planning Commission to review and to look at, to provide input on. And then, if City Council wants to move forward with changes to the code, we will do so.
Okay, that's the 8th.
The 8th, August 8th,
What time is that?
6:15.
And then we have a meeting on the 22nd or not.
Yes, so we have the meeting on the 22nd. We may have 2 public hearings that night.
All right, so if anybody's going to be gone, let staff know so that we can plan accordingly. All right, community comments. Community comments are limited to those items on the agenda. Do we have anybody here this evening that wants to speak on community comments?
That's Jason. That's our city engineer.
Well, our city engineer probably doesn't want to speak under community comments. All right, then it's a hard pass. All right, moving on to public hearings. The first one, the public hearing on YMCA zone change and conditional use case file LU 2023-009 PA is called to order. Before I describe the procedures for conducting a public hearing, I want to note that the applicant has requested a continuance of this hearing to August 22nd, 2023. This is subject to the 120-day rule, but since this is our first evidentiary hearing and continuance, we have not requested a waiver. The planning commission can grant the requested continuance or conduct the hearing this evening as previously scheduled. Public testimony received thus far has been entered into the record and will be addressed as part of the public hearing on this application, whether that hearing is conducted tonight or at a later date. Staff, is there anything further you would like to address regarding the requested continuance?
Yeah, thanks, Chair Simpson. So the continuance request is to continue working with ODOT. We had a transportation memo written and they wanted revisions to it. And so our transportation consultant is working on those revisions. Just very generally, the zone change is related to this accompanying the sale of the property, the city selling the property to the YMCA. So we're doing the zone change before the sale and the CUP. So I expect we'll bring this to you on the 22nd, assuming we can get all the issues resolved with ODOT and the comments.
Excellent. And if it's not able, we will still adjourn a meeting on August 22nd to either accept a continuance and notify the public of that continuance. And then at that time, we'll probably want to, for the record, get a 120-day waiver in there for the conditional use, land use part of this application. So we're in compliance.
Yeah, and the city's the applicant, so we can grant ourselves an extension and
You can grant yourself, but for-
when, yes, we need to do everything correctly, so and under the right procedure. So yeah, we can give ourselves the 120-day extension, but we need to open, if we're not going to hold it open and then continue it again.
okay. So are there any questions for staff or any issues commissioners want to address related to the continuance?
Procedural question, when I make a motion, I'll need to add the 120-day waiver or not?
Not
Okay,
this
all
time,
right,
next time. All right, I could entertain that motion now.
All right, I'll move that the Sherwood Planning Commission continue the public hearing on the application for YMCA zone change conditional use LU 2023-009 PA till August 22nd, 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of continuing the YMCA zone change and conditional use application LU 2023-009 PA until August 22nd, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next is public hearing number 2. The public hearing on the transportation system plan update, case file LU 2023-012 is called to order. The purpose of this hearing is to provide the public with an opportunity to testify and provide information to the planning commission concerning the transportation system plan update, case file LU 2023-012 PA. The commission will conduct tonight's hearing in the following order. Staff will present the staff report followed by questions, if any, by the planning commission for staff. We will then open the hearing for public testimony and each person's time will be limited as followed. The applicant will have 30 minutes split between presentation and rebuttal. In this case, this evening, the city is the applicant. Then we'll have persons in favor of the application, 4 minutes each, persons opposed to the application, 4 minutes each. And then we'll have rebuttal of the applicant, which will be the remainder of their 30 minutes. We will then close the public hearing. Final comments by staff, questions of staff, if any, by the commission, then discussion and deliberation by the commission. A recommendation to city council may be made at the close of this hearing, or the matter may be continued to a time and date certain. If the matter is continued to a certain date, this will be the only notice of that date you receive. Staff did not receive any notifications 24 hours in advance from anyone wanting to provide testimony virtually. If you wish to speak this evening, please fill out one of the blue testimony forms and submit it to planning staff. The planning commission chair will recognize people who wish to speak, and any questions should be addressed through the chair. When you come to the microphone, please ensure the light is green, state your name and address for the record, as this hearing will be recorded. Please speak clearly into the microphone. In reaching a decision on the application, the commission must consider whether the application meets the relevant approval criteria in the city's land use regulations. Those criteria are identified in the staff report. The staff report is available online and at City Hall. The staff report was accessible to the public 7 days prior to this meeting date. The testimony and evidence must address these criteria or other criteria you believe apply to the decision. Please note that failure to raise an issue with enough detail to enable the commission, the applicant, and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issues precludes an appeal to the city council or land use board of appeals on that issue. Also, failure by the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues regarding proposed conditions of approval, again with enough detail to allow the commission to respond to the issue, precludes an action for damages in circuit court. This evening, the planning commission will be making a recommendation to the city council. The city council is the final decision maker on legislative hearing matters. A tentative city council public hearing on this matter is scheduled for August 15th. Now turn to staff to present the staff report.
Thank you, Chair Simpson. Planning Commissioners, Eric Rutledge, Community Development Director with the city. Happy to be presenting to you guys for this TSP update. So first, just clarification on the role Planning Commission's playing tonight. This is a TSP update. So your role is to review the proposal, which is adding the Pet Bridge as a project in the TSP under the approval criteria for a plan amendment. And then there's some metro code and some statewide planning goals that apply as well. We're certainly happy to take feedback on the design, really anything you have comments on. We're happy to take that from you and sort of pass it up to city council. You're making a recommendation to city council tonight. And so if you guys, we can just package that, even if it's not related to the approval criteria and whether or not the TSP should actually be updated, which is your role. If you guys just have other comments, I think we're happy to take those and take them up. So happy to hear anything, but your role tonight is fairly limited to legislative TSP update. That's what you're doing tonight. So happy to answer questions on that. City of Sherwood is the applicant, and again, the proposal is to add the Highway 99 pedestrian bridge to the TSP. It's a type 5 legislative action. We sent notice to affected agencies on June 30th. We did get just one nice informal comment back from ODOT indicating that the city and our consultants have been working really closely together with the ODOT technical design team. So the plan reviewers at ODOT didn't have any additional comment, no comments from the state or Metro on this. Did public notice and provide an opportunity for public comment, but we haven't received any public testimony to date. Here's the criteria, and this is really sort of squarely what your role is to review these approval criteria and determine whether or not the Pet Bridge as a project fits within the criteria. So again, some development code, the comp plan, and then metro and statewide planning goals. Again, no public comments received. The location, I think everyone's somewhat familiar, but the bridge is proposed to connect the Sherwood Family YMCA to the Sherwood High School, and both of the landings or the ramps for each of the sides would actually be on the private property. So it's not, within or on Highway 99. Of course, it will span Highway 99 and Elwert, but it will be the improvements will be limited, and the footings will be limited to the private property. And we do have Jason Waters here. He's our city engineer. He can answer questions, more technical questions, design questions. So feel free to ask him anything if you have any specific to design or engineering. This is aerial rendering that was put together by our consultants. With the preferred design, which city council has reviewed. So again, the landing for be the, I guess, the east side or the south side would be here on the YMCA property, a ramp up, also a ramp on this side up and with stairs, it looks like. Crossing the highway, Elwert and Kruger, and then landing on the Sherwood High School property here. And so we have gone through a few different iterations with city council and the design team. And originally we were, the project was limited to, I believe, actually just spanning Highway 99. And then, in looking at it, it made more sense to actually get them all on this. This gets busy already, getting them all the way across, students and families and whoever else, all the way to the actual high school site. Yeah, leave that there. Also a rendering, this would be from the southeast corner of Highway 99 and Elwert, the ramp that actually comes up. This design, we've kind of gone through a few different public meetings with city council, but also some surveys and outreach to the general public. So we've had kind of a lot of input on the design of the bridge already, and this was the preferred design over sort of completely different designs. This one was chosen. We also went back and forth on white versus red, and we sent that out to the public on for a poll as well. And it was really interesting. City council and staff were totally split 50-50 red, white, and so they took it to the public, and the poll came out with a preference for white. So that's what is shown here. Gene, to answer your question, this looks a little scary here, being so low over Highway 99. I can assure you, and Jason Waters is here as well, but ODOT, like I mentioned, ODOT's been taking a really close look at this, and so their minimum clearances over the highway are going to be met, even with this one here, if it is actually kind of over the highway.
We look at it on another rendering, and if that part's over the swale, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like maybe this one here is what it was a little, oh no, is this one here, it was a little concerning.
Yeah.
In
It's
that view.
just the view that we're looking at it. So.
But I think it's a good point, and obviously, city's not acting alone here in this design, and so ODOT's been very closely involved in the design, and it ultimately needs to approve this. So all of the safety concerns related to the highway should be met in terms of traffic. And of course, the whole purpose of this bridge is to get students, but also families and anybody else who wants to use the bridge across Highway 99. And kind of mentioned this in the staff report, but as we continue to grow, this corner of the property here is currently outside city limits, but it is part of Sherwood West. And historically, this was outside city limits as well. And so we're expecting the city boundary to expand, this way to the west and likely also to the south as well. And so as that happens, right now, this is kind of an entrance to the city as you're making your way north on the highway. There was discussion about whether we should have a welcome to Sherwood sign here, and we kind of backed off that. City council did, because we realized in the future, while this bridge is still here, it's not going to be the entrance. The entrance is going to be way down near Brookman. And so, it'll be a really important piece of infrastructure, and we want it to look good, but it's not in the end going to serve as sort of the entrance to Sherwood like that intersection does now. Again, a few design renderings. Just getting into the weeds of kind of what we're doing for this application. We'll be updating the TSP, so it'll be project P51, added as a pedestrian project to the fundable transportation system plan. We'd add to figure 12 pedestrian projects, and then there's kind of just all over the document. We need to update different numbers to ensure consistency. In terms of funding, this is being funded by mainly urban renewal funding. So in 2021, the city set up an urban renewal district. The city has funding within that urban renewal district, and that's the main source of funding for the bridge. The secondary source is a few $1 million in lottery funds, or state of Oregon lottery funds. Not sure the details on that, if that was competitive or not, but the state of Oregon allocated funding for the bridge as well. And so that's where the remainder of the funding comes from. Approval criteria, so this is the development code criteria, really oriented towards zone changes and plan amendment, but we apply it to TSP updates as well. Just kind of making sure that it's in compliance with our comp plan, which it is. It's also an urban renewal plan, that it is compatible with the surrounding land uses. I think obviously a very strong argument to make there, connecting the high school to the YMCA and providing that, safe grade separated crossing. So full staff findings are included in the staff report, but if you guys have concerns about findings and approval criteria, happy to chat more about them. In terms of the comp plan, connecting the areas of Sherwood East and West of Highway 99 is a really important goal. The highway is a major barrier, frankly, in terms of transportation on both sides of the city. And so this is a pretty big investment to, address that safety issue long term. I don't know the exact lifespan of the bridge, but many decades. And so we want to plan for that and not have students and anyone else, as we grow to Sherwood West, we want people to be able to cross safely and get to all the open spaces and parks and trails that we'll have on both sides of the city eventually. So pretty squarely within the comprehensive plan as well. Again, metro and statewide planning goals apply, but those have been met and no concerns from our partner agencies. And with that very brief presentation, staff recommends approval of the TSP update subject to the findings in the staff report dated July 18th. And again, we have Jason Waters here who can answer questions. Your alternatives, recommend approval to City Council based on the findings in the staff report, recommend approval with revised findings, or recommend denial with revised findings as well. And happy to take any questions.
All right, does anybody have any questions for staff?
Just a quick question, point of clarification. None of the footings are in ODOT right away, is that correct?
Let's look. There might be, Jason, you want to just come up? I think it'd be good for you to come up. Yeah.
There'll be several footings within ODOT right away, but those will all be approved and permitted through their construction permitting process. So
You can
we've got
some of these ones here.
they're called bends or columns for bridge support. So the ODOT's right away does expand pretty far over into the Elwood Kruger area. So we'll have three rather large bends. And actually, it looks like there's a fourth one there. But that's all been submitted and reviewed by the ODOT Mobility Access Committee.
Awesome, thank you.
And it's the landings that are on private property.
Correct, within public easement that we're acquiring and establishing over the YMCA property there.
And on the high school side.
We've negotiated all the right of way for those easements.
The city has acquired all the right of ways. And then the stairs. If I'm looking at the bottom part next to the YMCA, the access from the north down to the bridge is gonna be stairs up, or they take a sidewalk all the way around.
Correct, though that's not ADA and we'll sign it as such so that folks know they can use stairs or walk around.
And
to
then
the Sunset Boulevard for the
and-
ADA.
next to the high school side of it, there's that loop road that's gonna connect it towards the south. Is that going to be ADA onto the?
Yes, that's the purpose of that pathway there.
So when our Sherwood West area starts to develop, there'll be access from that hospitality area.
Both of those routes will be ADA accessible there from both of those, yep.
And there's no fencing or anything on that part of the high school.
Nothing that we have planned with the project, but I'm sure there'll be other issues and signs and things like that that come up after the project that we didn't, have the funding for or foresee coming.
All right, any other questions of staff?
Yeah, I have several. Thank you for your time and the presentation. First on planning packet, page 10, under the analysis, under section 3, or criterion 3. proposed amendment is timely, et cetera. The analysis indicates that the bridge will connect with the new Sherwood High School with a YMCA site owned by the city.
Hmm.
And that's current now, though. It's been just point of clarification that we're gonna have a right of way or an easement rather than the site being owned by the city, correct?
Yeah, really good catch there. Yeah, so we, like Jason mentioned, we will, the sale was not final yet, but I assume we will finalize it. And in that case, once we do that, as part of the sale, we're working on the details of the easements as well. So we do need to get permanent and construction easements from them for the bridge.
And the purchaser is reviewing those now as part of, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We should actually be done with the review, able to record those easements, next
Mhm.
week if we need to.
Yeah.
How would
Yep.
you record easements on property you own?
Pretty easy.
I don't, it's for, I mean, I don't think it's an issue. If it won't, we will look into it. If it is, we can complete the sale and then put the easements down, but
Great.
yeah, I don't think there's an issue there.
That's a ripple effect. There's a few times that that's come up in the planning package. Okay,
So are you gonna modify the language then just a little bit for the analysis to, I mean,
Yeah, we can,
I just think for clarity, when it gets to council, if we just say. Connect Sherwood High School with the YMCA using easements to be executed or something, so we're clear.
yeah, I think we can just say, make it clear that there is a sale that's in process and that if the sale is completed, then the city's gonna need easements. So, yes. Yeah.
Through the use of public right of way easements or something that there's a vehicle that we're gonna be using through the process.
Yeah.
thank you. The other instance is on packet page 28. Others, right there for you, okay. Next, on packet page 11. The analysis concludes that the pedestrian bridge will not increase vehicular traffic or for any facilities located in the city or within ODOT's jurisdiction. I'm curious, since I haven't seen a transportation plan or it says that we're not expected to have a significant impact. What's the likelihood of individuals being dropped off in the right-hand turn lane on Sunset to, for example, students being dropped off there and or utilizing the YMCA as a parking slot for students to kind of park there and then move across on the highway or over the bridge?
Yeah, I mean, on the latter, I don't think it makes a lot of sense I'm not sure why. I mean, the high school has parking, right? So if a high school student is driving, I assume they're gonna drive just straight to the high school. I'm not quite sure why someone would park there and then walk across. And yeah, I mean, I think the people driving in the right-hand lane of Elwood and dropping people off, I mean, I guess it could happen, probably very, very infrequently, and probably not something we need to be concerned with. It's just such a small detail. I don't think we need to be concerned with it, but yeah, it's technically someone can do that.
On Sunset, the right-hand turn lane.
Yeah, sure.
At that point, would it become a
It'd be
Traffic
police,
compliance.
yeah, no stopping or standing allowed by state law, so I mean, we'd have to have our police there that would.
Enforce that.
And
Yeah.
we're here. Not assuming that the YMCA is gonna enforce their private parking lot.
It might just be a drop area.
I see what you're saying. though.
Yeah.
That could increase like destination traffic and things like that is what.
Parking for events and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, so, I guess not having someone at the high school or going through that high school myself. Do you guys go to the high school on the weekend? And how is the parking there? Is there adequate parking at the high school? For football games and other stuff?
I haven't been myself, but I can assume that if there's a large event and the parking lot fills up, that the YMCA parking lot would be a secondary.
So the city would need, it's their if we do the sale, it's their property, so they would need to agree with that, and we, if it turns out that the high school didn't have enough parking. Man, I really hope the high school has enough parking for every event that they do there, because they have a lot. It's the biggest high school geographically, sort of in terms of area in the state, I know, and I don't know that, so we haven't heard of a parking problem at the high school. based on just my observations, it seem like there's gonna be plenty. But I mean, I'd almost say that's an added benefit, like, hey, if we got less, if we didn't get enough parking at the high school. Nice overflow here for
Could that
events.
be made a condition of sale?
I wouldn't recommend it. I think it's probably, if we get there, we can cross that bridge with them, no pun intended.
They can open it up as a
I know,
revenue
and-
generator for
Yeah.
$5 a spot.
Yeah, and the bridge is not, it's really a local bridge, like, I think if this were an area maybe further down. I guess up the highway where we're doing the Cedar Creek Trail and things like that, I can say, okay, you might have people that are gonna park and take advantage of the trail system. You might have some true, people that are driving to utilize the infrastructure to then get somewhere else. But in this location, with the exception of people doing things related to the school, I don't see people, driving here parking to utilize the bridge for some reason, unless we get a destination, a spot somewhere else in this area and it becomes, needed. But I think we really, and the city council really sees this as getting students, families, anybody who needs to cross Highway 99 in this location as it grows out to get the local residents across the highway safely. That's the main purpose of it.
Great, thank you. Another point, if anybody else has anything else to add. Okay. On packet page 12, under policy 3.4. Colored lights will be used at night to create an inspiring aesthetic bridge. I'm all in favor for that, so long as it complies with the lighting restrictions for nighttime, dark skies and whatnot, and in particular, concerned with migratory birds and whatnot at night. So long as we have conditions that the lights are to be maintained and managed appropriately. That's something that I would need to see as part of some kind of city compliance documentation. Or like to see. And I believe that's repeated on packet page 29.
It's kind of confusing. So that's the applicant's submittal, and then this is the staff. The page 12 is the rebuttal to the staff report, so.
Yep, and we can address, so we'd address it in the findings. So page 12 is where we
Okay,
address it, but yeah, I think we can pass those on. So general highway safety, and I think I haven't been involved in those conversations, but I know that, ODOT is going to be taking a very close look at this. And if we propose something that is not safe for people traveling on the highway, they're not gonna approve it.
I'm sure it's gonna be.
Yeah, ODOT's gonna be fine. I think we should get a statement maybe from the design engineer.
Sure, yeah, we can do that as well.
Right, because the ODOT safety is different than the
Yeah.
dark sky.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
biological issues.
Mhm, mhm,
Primarily.
okay, mhm. Yep, we can get a statement from the consultant on that. Mhm.
Yeah, LED light shooting straight up
Exactly.
to the bird's eye.
Yeah. So-
The last one I have, which I think you've already addressed, is that the foundations, whether they're gonna be in ODOT's right of way, may be considered within Waters to US or under Clearwater Services. So do we know if we have to do any additional permitting?
There are no navigable waterways within the project. It's a isolated wetland there and buffer, so we're
clear.
We've looked into that a few times, so we're good.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Just a few, and I do recognize that they're questions that aren't germane to whether this can be included in GSP. Well, I guess the first one is, we want this to be really robustly used by lots of folks rolling and walking. It does feel like there might be an opportunity to widen the curb type sidewalk on Sunset that leads up to this ramp. And that the fact that we're going through a sale might be an opportunity to get a wider sidewalk, maybe even a MUP. I don't know if that's been, I know this is pretty far along in the process, probably been discussed, but that's a really narrow facility there. If you got a couple of people walking,
I'm not,
multi-use path,
gotcha. Didn't get that one.
like 12, I would recommend like 12 to 15 feet.
We are already 4 feet encroaching. It's sidewalk that's there onto the property,
Encroaching into what?
onto the YMCA property.
Well, our property right now.
Yeah, our property.
Yeah.
And that's what we're gonna be correcting with the current right of way dedications. So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, so I know for sure we're gonna get, well, we're also doing a partition, it's probably too much detail, but we're doing the zone change, and there's a separate partition that's happening. So as part of the partition, we're gonna get the dedication for the full width of Sunset, for sure. In terms of, improvements, yeah, we can pass that along as well. I don't, so do we know the width of Sunset right now? Is it,
well, we're.
sorry, the
we're
sidewalk
looking
on
for the
Sunset.
universe. We're getting a big easement for the bridge, which we can do additional sidewalk improvements within that space. So we are gonna have a 20-foot wide approximately.
All the
public
way
easement.
down as far as the.
No, it does end right there where the bridge.
Right, I
ramp
guess.
turns. So
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I want like
Yeah,
an
we
entrance
should.
into, ideally it'd be much longer, but yeah.
Yeah, it's tight right there. We could use a landscape strip,
Yeah.
12-foot wide, or use path. I prefer bike lane with that too, but.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The other thing is we will have an additional 20-foot easement. That's available to work within, albeit there's a bridge. structure with
A
that.
lot of the YMCA land is not, I don't know if they have a robust plan to expand, but it's not being used. It could easily kind of come off the project, couple feet, 5 feet.
Yep, we can pass that on. Only comment at this point would be budget, which I'm
Sure.
sure you're familiar, aware of that, so.
And as the Y expands, I'm sure we can look at them dedicating or providing additional sidewalk. When that meets our TSP cross section is the building. It
Could-
expands to.
Could it be put in the TSP as a later project?
The sidewalks. Yeah, I mean, we should look and see what we have right now, because there might be something related to Sunset. So we can look and see what we have right now, but,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
if
if
it's-
it's strip 8 feet
Yeah,
and bike lane 30 in our TSP, so they'd be
Okay.
required to provide that. If they came in and expanded the building.
Mhm.
Or whatnot.
but yeah, we can look at it, we can pass on the, the recommendation. I think it's well taken. Because the bridge is primarily gonna serve the Sunset corridor, right? There's a lot of houses in there and probably a lot of students that are gonna be, we hope, just come straight up Sunset. Or from the neighborhoods to Sunset and then a short distance up Sunset to the bridge. And so we want them to have a, nice, safe connection all the way up Sunset. So, and I know this totally different topic, but I know city has gotten complaints and there's some concern about this intersection right here with this maybe even you guys brought it up to us, but I've heard it as well. With this whole thing being reconfigured and this being reconfigured with this new intersection, it's just a little awkward here. You get 2 lanes down to 1 and then there's a crosswalk right here. And so it just gets a little dicey in there. So I think, I think we'll take a look at the whole thing. I think budget permitting, we love to do as much as we can
We
to
do
to
have
make sure.
almost a consultant looking at the crosswalk there at Woodhaven and the cues back off the signal.
Great.
Right now for kind of a refinement study that was in the CIP plan. Sunset Boulevard Crosswalk Safety Enhancement Study, so we'll have the results of that here in the next 3 months. Of what the recommendations are, but that kind of analyzes that crosswalk there at Woodhaven Drive. In addition, so.
Sounds like they're in the TSP then, if it's. in the
Yeah, there's already a project at that
Okay.
location, it's just a big circle at this point, and you've got the consultants coming in. Weighing in on whether the cues from the signal are gonna drift past Woodhaven Drive, which we all have been, going up to that signal, they do. So they're gonna come up with some recommended solutions for potentially a pedestrian signal. Or a push button system there at Woodhaven that would kind of accompany the pedestrian bridge project either before or after that. So that study is underway right now.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I think point well taken. If we're going to really encourage people to use this, we don't want to encourage people to use it and then kind of lead to a safety issue. So that would defeat the purpose. So.
Just a few other small, what's the width of the bridge? The surface for users.
14 feet.
Is there plans to like segregate users like, bike, are we gonna, is it gonna be striped and signed?
That's a bigger overarching question for all of our shared use pathways. I know Portland's starting to do that. on
Yeah.
one side, two-way. And I think we'll need to meet with our city attorney and kind of weigh the risks with that, but it's good to see Portland leading the way on a 12-foot wide pathway with bikes and they're striping it with a kind of a tick line down the center, putting bikes on the street side and then pedestrians on the other 6 feet. So that's something we have discussed with our elected officials.
Yeah, I would
But-
encourage some sort of guidance, given the variable speeds of riders and walkers. Creates a much safer environment. So that would be my plug. And then I related to the lighting, I think it's a great opportunity to get civic engagement. So colors for different seasons, different events. I think that's a great idea. So I would just encourage that as well.
One more thing to add.
Yeah,
The plan, the design looks great. I do have a question on the entrance on the north end and south end. They're squared off, whereas the majority of the plan looks to be more curved. Is there a reason why those two entrances were squared versus more, they just seem abrupt when you're looking at it compared to that? For example, that's a spot where it's rounded off.
I don't think I have an answer for that. That's a good question. I think the ADA ramps to transition from one location to the other is probably why they did that, so they could simplify that design, send it off to another designer that certifies those. But worth asking the design consultant why, why it didn't come in a taper and try to get both,
Because
we all walk in kind of a curved motion and not, like the Citadel style where you're angling yourself.
right, the far west back to the sidewalk appears to be curved. So
I would say even more importantly, when you try to get bicycles,
Yeah.
that's a.
it's a hard right.
Yeah, and I'll look at that in the final plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, this could be a rendering that doesn't hit the ramps exactly.
I got a couple things. I do actually share the stop and drop kids concern a bit on Sunset. Just because traffic can kind of get backed up around the school. And if I'm a parent with a kid who doesn't drive yet, maybe it's easier on my way to work. If I can avoid the school, I got to turn on 99. I'm just gonna real quick, just get out, hop out real quick, I could see that happening, actually. It might be worth considering. I don't know what the answer is to that, considering the design here, it's tricky. I don't know if you can expand something to have a pop-off zone, or, that gets really tricky. But I do share that concern. I can see that there, maybe not so much on the other side, but I can see that potential here. So I don't really have a question there as much as just a comment to consider. The other thing is, it looks like this, and this is if you're getting on this thing, you're going over 3 roads before you can get off. That's a commitment. It definitely seems very geared toward getting kids to the high school and back. That's good. But I'm thinking about the Sherwood West expansion and how that might connect down there. I see there's this connection kind of way up to the top here. But I am curious how this maybe could connect even better to Sherwood West at some point. Are there other kind of off ramps, so to speak, eventually? Because like right now, when I look in the upper left, if I'm headed down to Sherwood West, and yes, we have a lot more to go down there before we figure out what's going on. But if I want to go to that sidewalk, I'm not going to take this thing all the way up there and curve around. I'm still going to cross 99 and then over, I think what is this, Seward, and I'm going to go that route. So it seems like this primarily just serves YMCA to the school and not kind of the other directions. So maybe there's some way down the road to leave it open to have kind of another offshoot or something. At least considered within, maybe not designed now, but have that availability to kind of go a different direction, or maybe just have other off ramps, so to speak, here.
Yeah, I think that's a worthy question of the design engineer, whether we can attach stairs or a ramp to the vent there by the water quality facility, where it looks like there's kind of a beam of light heading up towards the Sherwood West area of, can the city build stairs or a ramp up to that and then attach, that seems like a valid question, or at least to pursue, designing the bridge as such that we can connect to it later. if we wanted to, that the.
Or even just get off one of these earlier sidewalks here. or
Yeah,
something, you know?
via stairs even.
Yes, via stairs or something, yeah. Cause I mean, if it was close enough, I'd take this and then get off and go south.
Yeah.
Rather than cross over these very busy roads.
Hit the push button, you can walk right 2,000 or 1,000 feet to have a nice stroll safely across the highway, yeah.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Because right now that'd be an effort to go all the way around. I think people just generally gonna take the most direct route. You know, there's a safety trade-off that. So, worth considering.
Like that, even if it's a separate project, like a
Yeah,
And those benches,
A and B.
there's no reason we shouldn't be able to.
Accommodate.
Make it that we can go attached. on.
yeah, I'm hoping I'm not suggesting the design change to this, just maybe leave it open for if there's a way to have other stairs down from someplace down the road to accommodate that Sherwood, especially the Sherwood West expansion, and trying to design this for a southward appeal as well at some point.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. Yeah, I think we're happy to pass all these on, all these recommendations on in a memo. I think it's been, like I said, we're a little late on the CSP updates. Would have been great to kind of get this input in, earlier, but it's what it is. So, yeah, we can pass that on as well and have a meeting consider.
Thank you.
Yeah, so any other questions of staff?
I had a concern actually, so being that this is so long, if there is safety concerns for the pedestrians that are actually using the bridge. How will our safety people come and help?
First responders.
Yes, all of our officers.
We are working with a surveillance, video surveillance design engineer through the team to put a camera system throughout the entire project. We're looking at cost estimates to see if we can get the whole system in or just the conduit with the bids. But that is a high priority for the police. Sitting.
I'm also thinking about jumpers, and if kids are traveling overnight and they're stuck and they only have one direction to go on either end, where are they going to go if they're being boxed in on this bridge other than jumping? That's my major thing. I think about my kiddo crossing that thing and it terrifies me.
And there will be a 10-foot tall stainless, similar to the Earl of Blumenauer Bridge in the Lloyd Center area. This is going to be very similar to that design as far as the stainless steel curtain. that goes
So will
across that.
there be other safety features like buttons, or if how colleges have buttons
Yeah,
that
we
alert?
did talk to the police about that. We're not doing any call boxes, but we're doing an extensive system to add cameras on there, and we can add stuff later to our IT department if we need to. Something that we can add to and expand on, because that was something we discussed, is call boxes at the center of the bridge, given it's 1,000 feet long. How would you reach out to a medical response if you had an incident in the center? And we're, laying down how would people get to you? So we are looking at that.
Or alarms or something that would go off that would bring attention.
Is it gonna be designed at least to allow easy installation of a call box at a later date if an issue comes up?
That's the top priority, is getting the conduit in
Yeah.
with the pull string. And then if we need to pull the cameras off because the bids are too high, we'll do that. And we have a great IT staff that would be able to come in and help either through vendors, add the cameras and wire. So yeah, the infrastructure is the key, the backbone, all that stuff. That's what we're gonna get in with the project.
If you had a ticketing system to anybody who stops and drops a student off and gets
So that'd
them,
be great, yeah.
then you could revenue generate anybody that stops on Sunset to drop off a kid, their ticket revenue will pay for the camera system
And
for
all
the rest of
schools,
them.
all schools, I guess, right?
There you go.
So we are looking at bids right now for conduit on the bridge.
We're looking at estimates. We've got a design up for cameras and everything. We think it might be a little bit tight to do the entire turnkey system, but we're definitely doing conduit. Getting the backbone system so we can have an extensive array of cameras. I mean,
It can also but feature, fiber crossings, rented out
Oh, yeah.
private sector. So that's a part of the design build and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
We thought about like grants are going out to someone who wants to sponsor the system and get their name on every.
We may have to do that if the bids come in, for the can for that one.
I was gonna say,
They-
cell camera sponsorship.
Commissioner Capco, I think point well taken. It's a very long bridge.
And I think it's
And
important.
I think like we mentioned, it's, it's long for a reason. I think it's point well taken on safety concerns. Once you get on the bridge, there's limited options to get off. And so if you're on the middle of the span and there's an issue, you're kind of stuck on there. I guess my only thought on that is it's an alternative to the surface, route. And so I think it's kind of up to the family, up to the individual. I think, what we know for sure is that there's a safety issue on Highway 99 for sure. Having everybody try and cross there, who might want to be a pedestrian. I assume there's probably a lot of people that, the kids are just, the parents are not. I'm making some assumptions here, but I'm assuming the parents are not letting them walk or bike to school because of the highway. And so if we can provide an alternative, I think that's the key. If other safety issues do come up, I think obviously the city and our police department is committed to addressing it. And yeah, at the end of the day, if there turns out to be other safety concerns that outweigh the highway, safety concerns, then just crossing at the surface level is always an option. But I think, the design, it's ironically intended to address a different safety concern. So you're just, choose which one you'd rather take on. But we can pass that along as well. And I think to Commissioner Vance's point, if we do get another, staircase or something that would help address that issue as well.
Absolutely. The other thing I was thinking about too is the hoops that are going across. Are they gonna be gated off so kids aren't gonna be sliding on them?
You're talking about bridge.
All those
The
things.
serpentine.
Mhm.
Yeah. We're not showing the stainless steel barrier that goes up 10 feet on the outside of that.
Is that
They're in that rendering, so yeah, they will not be able to
Okay,
climb up. I mean, if they did, they'd probably cut their fingers
okay.
carrying.
Or slide down and go to the bottom.
Yeah, no. I'm sure we'll find some people that are creative on how they attack the bridge, but yeah, we've got, it does not show the 10-foot tall stainless steel barriers. And if you are interested in example bridge, the Earl down in by Lloyd Center, the new bridge there, this is very similar with the stainless steel and
Right.
security that we're doing, and even the color on the bridge too. With the white.
Is it easy to clean? That's it's funny, maybe it's tag.
We'll find out, I think is the answer. I don't know if I was on the red. Panel, so on the code, so.
There is a
No comment.
graffiti code that you.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. And some agencies will end up painting the first 10 feet of the bridge regularly because it gets, tagged frequently, so. We'll find out.
Back to the cameras.
Yeah, then we have to get cameras, so.
All right, any other questions of staff before we have testimony from the audience? All right. So we are going to open the public hearing for public testimony. Again, if you want to testify this evening, have you submit a blue card. Our audience member is shaking her head and does not want to testify this evening, so it's unnecessary for rebuttal. If there's no objection from the commission, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion or the public testimony. All right. So the public testimony is closed, so we'll have any final comments by staff.
I appreciate all the comments. To the extent any of the comments were related to the criteria and the findings, we'll update those. So thank you, Commissioner Barnes. And I think what I envisioned for the rest of the comments, since they weren't are really under the TSP update, but I think really good comments, is I'll probably put these in a memo and then pass them on kind of separately, here's the general comments. And of course, we have Counselor Stankey, who I forgot was online, so Counselor Stankey also heard it all. He's been asking me what his role is here, and here it is. You heard it all, Counselor Stankey, so he can digest this and pass it on as well, but we'll make sure to get all the comments, so thanks.
So before we entertain a motion for this application, can you provide a recap of, this is just adding this project to our transportation system plans. We're updating the plan just like we would update the water plan if we needed to put in a new pump. Right? So we're adding this project to the plan.
Mhm.
It's already in process. So what are the next steps and the opportunities for the public to interact with this?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I might need some help from,
And the timing of that. So,
Yeah,
so
Jason.
people watching can have an opportunity to know when the actual project itself is coming to public.
so obviously the city council hearings on the TSP update, so we'll have comments, comment period during those two hearings. Man, I mean, I'll just go back to, we've already done a lot as well, including stuff we do way outside of a normal legislative update, like open houses and polls on Facebook and the website. So there's already been a lot. So just want to acknowledge that. But in the future, they'll have to bless as part of the URA or city council. So the other kind of unique part about this, since it's being funded by the URA board is the city council.
So
They
the
just-
urban renewal agency.
Yes, urban renewal agency, so they put on city council, basically has a city council meeting, and then they close that meeting and go straight into their urban renewal agency meeting. And it's the same board, and so that would probably be the mechanism for the next public hearing, is through the urban renewal agency.
Yeah, we'll have the two TSB readings there in August for the city council, and then there'll be a resolution to award the construction contract. Most likely in September, so public will have a chance to comment. Then we were talking about maybe putting together a list of all the public input involvement meetings that have been held along the way for this project. I just would say it's over a dozen. There's probably been more public involvement for this project specifically than any project that we would have in a TSP. So work sessions, resolutions, multiple opportunities for the public to provide comment on it. So there will be 3 additional at least opportunities for the public to provide input on the project.
Yeah.
It's gonna pop up at the Robin Hood Festival.
So I'm just looking, is there a project website if someone signs up for an
Oh, yes.
interested
Yeah.
party?
Yes.
And there's an interested parties mailing list that if someone's interested, they can reach out to staff for that.
There will be, we can create something like that.
If it's necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure
And I
that.
think I just acknowledge, that I don't think this has come to planning commission yet, so to the extent we overlooked getting this in front of you on a work session or something, I apologize. I think what's happening is it's really a really strongly city council driven project, and so everything's just kind of going straight to them. So that's kind of what's been happening, and then through the URA as well, so, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it through the city council side of it, but just. This is not technically, will it be a land use? It won't be a land use application that we approve.
No, this is
Because-
the land use portion of it, and just to clarify, I should have mentioned this in the meeting, but the reason we're late is we were going to do a much larger, basically a full-blown TSP update in 2023 this year, and so I think past staff had kind of targeted this as part of a larger TSP update. That project got pushed out to 2024, and then it was, well, we still gotta do this one small project, so now we're here.
So our approval tonight is more about getting the concept of this bridge into the project, into the plan. Yes, the transportation plan, not all the design specifics and everything being correct. It's just, yes, this is part of the overall plan.
So to put it in the
Correct.
plan, so the funding mechanism is in place to be able
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
launch the project technically.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
So with that said, based off the feedback from the commission, there's really no modifications for us to make tonight. Or do we need to add the comments about the updated language around easements through the YMCA?
Yeah, I think that's the extent.
And that'd be the one modification.
Okay, yeah. Yep, so if you're ready, I think we're ready for a motion then.
All right, with that said, I move the Sherwood Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to the city council for Highway 99 West Pedestrian Bridge TSP update, case file number LU 2023-012 PA, based on the applicant testimony, public testimony received, and the analysis, findings, and conditions in the staff report with the following modification. Updated language around easements to be gained through the YMCA and city land transaction.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we send a recommendation for approval on LU 2023-012 Transportation System Plan Update Case Highway 99 pedestrian bridge. Is there any discussion before we entertain a vote? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, and thank you to the commission for all the input so that our counselor can take that up with the city council as it goes through the city council and the urban renewal advisory.
Yeah, I really appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
All right. We're down to commissioner comments. Any, do we have any, we don't have any subcommittees or liaisons working right now. Now that EOA and Sherwood West are done, so any other comments from the commission? All right, if there are no objections, we will adjourn the meeting. Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Feel like we're on vacation
I
compared to last year. Yeah.
know compared, well, 2020, we had